Welcome to Culture at Work, the podcast that explores how to maintain a strong corporate culture in a rapidly changing world. I'm your host, Tim Carroll, inviting you to learn from industry leaders on how to build an exciting culture to bring people back to the office and inspire them like never before. On today's program, we have Chris Robinson. Chris is a founding partner of the Maxwell Leadership Certified Team, and as the Executive Vice President of the Maxwell Entrepreneurial Solutions, he is a product of the product, leading a global team of over 50,000 speakers, coaches, and trainers. He's an international speaker who has captivated crowds as large as 4,500 and trained small groups inside of companies weekly before taking on his role as the EVP of the Maxwell Entrepreneur Solutions. Chris has been instrumental in the development of many of the programs offered by the Maxwell Leadership Certified Team, a leadership development organization whose members speak, coach, and train on values-based, people-centric principles that help people lead powerful, positive changes in themselves, in their organizations, and in the world around them. Now, this is a treat for me as I'm a proud member of the Maxwell Certified Team, and I know Chris is going to bring it today. So let's jump right in. Hey, Chris, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited about this conversation and getting the opportunity to just spend some one-on-one time with you. I find that to be a treat. And I've listened to you a lot over the years and just excited about this time.
Oh, yeah, well, absolutely, Tim. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited always to get the opportunity to talk about personal growth, development, leadership. I love this stuff. I mean, my life has been shaped and built around it. So I can talk about this stuff all day long and won't keep you here all day long, but man, I can do it. I can do it, Tim.
You know, I find there to be a joy with people that are very kind of leadership nerds
Yeah.
like we are. And I just always find there to be an inner joy that you just don't find everywhere, right? I think
Right.
there's
Yeah.
something about that, right?
Right. Indeed. Indeed.
So let's start today like we normally do, and I'm going to ask this very simple but sometimes difficult question, which is how do you define culture?
Ooh, how do I define culture? I think it really boils back down to, John Maxwell wrote the book, The 17 Qualities of a Team Player. And inside of that book, he talks about teams that collaborate together. And when I think about culture, how he defines collaboration is that competitive teams work together separately, but collaborative teams work together aggressively. And when I think about culture, I think about an organization or a group that works together aggressively towards their goal, dream, or vision, whatever it is that they have. And so, not working in silos, not working beside one another and just happen to coexist, but one that truly comes together and works together aggressively is really how I like to define a culture and a heartbeat of an organization. Is can we find that common ground? Can we find that common goal? And can we work together aggressively towards that goal? That's what I like to see inside of a culture, inside of a company.
Work together aggressively. That is a phenomenal phrase.
Yeah.
I may have to use that again. I
Yeah.
really like that a lot. So in that, you talked about team player just then, and
Yeah.
which is one of our values at Working Spaces, by the way. Truly do believe we don't want to rage at the darkness. We want to turn up the light, right? That's
Right. Yeah.
the goal here. But tell me about that. Just made me start thinking about this idea of entitlement that
Mm.
is permeating the culture in the world today. Tell me
Yeah.
has how you've seen that in organizations
Yeah.
that you've worked with, and how detrimental is that to that idea of working together aggressively?
Yeah, when it comes to entitlement, it comes to this mantra that if you want to grow inside of an organization, you have to drop the "I deserve" mentality. We're told that whenever if you can find a person that's growing inside of an organization, if they have this mindset. Now, this mindset's going to make some people's stomach sick when I share this with you, but I promise you, if you have this mindset, you're going to see yourself growing inside of an organization. The mindset is this. I deserve nothing and I owe the company everything. Now, this is a major shift that you have to take because you put in your blood, your sweat, and your tears. But if you can make this shift to I deserve nothing and I owe the company everything, I think that keeps you in a proper place of balance and not falling into that entitlement. But when you think about the word deserve, all right, because that's really what entitlement is I deserve. But what happens to leaders and what happens to organizations when we begin to take on the I deserve mentality, let's just look at the word. When you deserve, you de-serve your people around your team. Now, come on, somebody.
Come
we're,
on
getting, we're,
now.
getting ready,
I
we're
love
getting ready to
that.
work right here. You de-serve your customers, you de-serve your team members, you de-serve your employees when you have that deserve mentality. So if we can get over ourselves and just, hey, just clean the plate every single day and just say, hey, look, I'm fortunate because I know for many people out there in your organizations, most of you may be looking at your life from where you grew up and what you have now today, what you get to do. And you may start from a place of gratitude, but if you don't clean that slate clean every day and you fall into that deserving mentality, you're gonna find frustration. You're gonna find yourself not aspiring to the levels that you truly want to now at this point. And so we've got to drop this entitlement mentality. I deserve nothing. I owe the company everything.
There's this idea, and I love that deserve. There's this idea that there's a mutual responsibility that I think we've lost this idea of
Sure.
this mutual responsibility together between employee and employer. It's
Yeah.
now, what are all the things you're going to give me to make my life better? And nothing about this responsibility, this reciprocal responsibility of what do I need to bring to the table,
Right.
for those things, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I find that to be challenging at times. I mean, I feel like I'm of an age that that idea that I owe the company everything, it just was how I was raised, right? I mean,
Right.
it's just
Right.
uh, how I was raised, and so it is a challenge
Yeah.
to shift, and we're going to talk a little bit about shifting today, but that idea of shifting this mentality towards uh, serving,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
You should be
Yeah.
serving within that organization.
Yeah. That's correct. That's correct.
You have a lot of stories. I've heard a number of them about about your hustle. I'm a individual that loves good hustle, right? It's my love language. I love hustle. And so you have a lot of those stories, but tell me how that I feel like that can affect, one's perspective on
Yeah.
things, when you have a career, a life of hustle. So
Right.
how has that affected your perspective on the importance of culture within an organization?
Yeah. When you think about hustle, it's really being able to make this shift from being a entrepreneur to an entrepreneur. So you can hustle inside the organization as an entrepreneur. You can be the entrepreneur yourself and hustle outside of it. And I think that a lot of people do get the hustle mentality misconstrued. Because I'm known for my, propensity for action and getting things done, and that's where that hustle comes from. But
Right,
it really comes from a place of more of efficiency than hustle for the grind. Because what I will tell you is that in everything that I do, I've built my business, everything around my family. And so I've always moved in the direction of I'm going to build my business around my family, not my family around my business. And so I think the hustle message gets misconstrued sometimes. But if I had to boil it down to a single phrase, it would be this: get done what you need to get done so that you can do what you want to do. And that's where my hustle and drive really comes from, is that I am just really efficient at getting things done so then I can go and do what I want to go do. And so but I think a lot of people think that it's this: you work to the bone from sun up to sundown. I don't do that. I work a lot during the day. I work a lot to get it done, but it's so that I can go and do what I want to go do, such as little league baseball games, such as gymnastics, such as track, cross country. I mean, I've got 6 kids, and if my life was built on just pure hustle for the sake of hustle to get the next thing, man, I wouldn't be have the opportunity to do what I'm doing today by impacting people.
We talk a lot about running during the money hours, right? If you run
Yeah.
during the money hours, you earn the right to unplug and spend time with
Yeah.
those that matter most. And
Right.
efficiency of time, I think, is very important. What I was hearing in that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like purpose plays a big part in what you
Oh,
do
yeah.
and the drive that you have. Can you speak to
Yeah.
that a little bit?
Yeah, when you talk about purpose, I love this phrase, and I heard this is probably one of the very first speaking events I ever spoke at. And Garrett Gunderson was the speaker that day, and I was a speaker behind him. But he said this, and it stuck with me since 2009. He said, "Without clarity in your purpose, you cannot tell an opportunity from a distraction."
Mm.
Without clarity in your purpose, you cannot tell an opportunity from a distraction. So your purpose is critical. And so that's why, when I talk with people about efficiency and getting things done, I asked them, I said, what are your goals or your aspirations that you're trying to? I said, Write those out on one side of the page. And then what I want you to do is go back and look at your to do list from the last 2, 3, 4, 5 days. And chances are your to do list looks crazy in comparison to what you say your purpose and your goals are. And so what I try to do on a daily basis is look at, is what I'm doing today line up with where I ultimately want to go? And if it does not line up with where I'm trying to go, then I don't need that activity on my list. And so for years, for 7 years, I was plugged in and dialed in to becoming a coach, speaker, and trainer. And I had four filters for every opportunity that came my way. Four filters, and it made decision making easy because I was clear on my purpose. I wanted to be a speaker, coach, and trainer. So every opportunity that came at me, I would ask myself four questions. Does this allow for me to speak? Does this allow for me to coach? Does this allow for me to train? Does this allow for me to read? If it didn't allow for me to do those four things, I said no to that opportunity or to that learning, to that book, to that whatever came my way. I had those filters and that kept me clear. I didn't take a single opportunity, a single offer, a single deal that didn't allow for me to do that for 7 years. And so now I have these, again, filters in life that keep me in alignment with where I'm supposed to go. That purpose is more important than anything. And you can move towards that purpose a whole lot faster if you really get clear on it and set up those boundaries in order to get there.
Distraction filters,
Yeah,
it's a real thing.
yeah,
I love that you have quantified that, right? And decided here are the things that
yeah,
I'm gonna kind of filter everything through to decide whether this is an opportunity or a distraction. I think for most of us, we don't have that. I talk a lot about doing the thing that moves the ball forward. And if it's not really going to move the ball forward, do we really need to do it or can we hand that off to someone else? And
right. Yeah,
that's hard to do.
it
I've
is.
learned over the years coaching to that is not easy for everybody to
Right.
really be able
Yeah.
to filter, right?
Right. Well, let me give you an example of this real quick. So, one of the questions that I would ask every single day, I would ask these five questions daily. Now, these are questions that I would do to shape my day, and I did this for years. Would carry a single index card. It'll have five questions. What do I need to read? What do I need to listen to? What do I need to do? Who do I need to call? And what am I looking for today? Now, I'm going to pinpoint in here on this. What am I looking for today? Because that really speaks to that filtering question. Now, I had a client of mine that was, he called me. He was a young, highly successful individual, and he calls me one day, leaves me a text message, says, "Chris, I need you to call me back immediately. I got a decision that I'm weighing, and I wanted to get your feedback on it." So I pick up the phone, I call him, and he says, "Well, Chris, I've got this incredible opportunity." And he goes, "I've got the opportunity to buy this 5 bedroom house on a lake with the boat slip." He goes, "This is a phenomenal real estate deal that I have the opportunity to participate in." I said, "Now, let me ask you one question starting out the gate." I said, "Were you looking for a 5 bedroom house?" He said, "Well, no, no, no. This is just a really good deal." I said, "Were you looking for a 5 bedroom house on a lake?" He goes, "No, no, no. It's just a really good deal." "Were you looking for a 5 bedroom house on a lake with the boat slip?" "No." "Are you looking to buy a boat?" "No." "Would your roommates that you currently have right now, were they looking for a 5 bedroom house?" He said, "No." He says, "Thank you, Chris," and hung up the phone. Okay. But the thing of the matter is that every single day, if you can ask yourself, what am I looking for today? That can shift your focus and your lens so that when opportunities come, distractions come, you can get right back on track. But if you don't know what you're looking for today, any ad, any email, any radio thing can drag you in any which direction that you want with all the browsers open on your computer. Come on, we've all found ourselves. How did I end up on this for an hour?
Yeah.
So we've got to get clear on what we're looking for.
Discipline, right?
Yeah,
It
indeed.
takes some discipline. Now, you talked about what do I need to read?
Yeah.
Great segue into John Maxwell has a new book out,
Yep. Oh yeah.
um, High Road Leadership.
Yep.
This is a great time for that book to come out
Yeah.
in today's world. And so, what do you from that? I have a few questions
Sure.
about it, but first is what do you see um, from leaders that maybe is a that leaders need to bring today in today's world um, that maybe they haven't in the past that they need to bring today in order to maybe be that high road leader.
Yeah. Well, I love the chapter of putting other people's agendas ahead of your own. I think in today's time, we're really in this me first leadership and what can I get? What's in it for me? This goes back to the entitlement. This goes back to the deserving. But if we can make that shift to putting other people's agendas ahead of our own, you will truly see yourself, gathering more people that want to follow you if you can put their agendas first. Zig Ziglar said it best many years ago: if you can help enough people get what they want, you'll eventually get what you want. And that is so applicable in today's times if we can just put ourselves in the back seat and say, hey, I want to put other people's agendas first.
So you said the word shift, and
Yeah.
I find leadership is a big book in our organization, and
Yeah.
we do all of our every year we do an emerging leaders class based off of leadership, right?
Right. Yeah.
John teaches our company every year
Yep.
a lot of things, but all of our emerging leaders go through leadership. Actually,
Okay.
all of our leaders, if they're new leaders, they come on board and they go through leadership. I find high road leadership to be another leader shift.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
It
a
is.
companion to lead. I mean, you
It
talk
really
about
is.
moral authority to influence,
Yeah.
and I mean, I find it to be just another shift, a higher level shift,
It
but
is. It
more
is.
of a shift, right?
Yeah, it's a shift and it's a layering because I think if you take a combination of the 21 Laws, which is John's best selling book, that book has sold more books than any other book on leadership. And I've read over 1,000 plus books in the past 15 years. And I'm telling you, there's not a leadership book out there that I can't point back to the laws of leadership. Now, if you take the 21 laws as a base, you take leadership on how to deal with the changing times, and you add high road leadership on top of that, you really have built yourself a great game plan on becoming today's leader. And, John continues to write. He will continue to write, I think, until the day that he dies.
Thank goodness.
Uh, but this high road leadership, the timing of it couldn't be better. But I think it's a perfect layer on top of leadership and the 21 laws. We just can't get away from it.
All of his books are very layered learning.
Yeah.
You can start here and then just grow. You can see a trajectory through a leadership journey of those books. It's a layup, but I'm gonna give it to you anyway. Top three Maxwell books on your list that you
Yeah.
are the top three. If these are the three you're gonna go out and
Right.
buy today,
Yeah.
new leader to a uh, uh, uh,
Right.
an
Well,
existing leader, what would they
yeah.
be?
Well, I got to give you a path there, and I think if I had to lay them all out now, because again, he's written 91 books at this point in time. But if I had to boil them down, that I would say are my favorite, two of the three go in that I read every single year. 21 Laws is a must have for any leader at any level, no matter how long you've led, because this will give tangible language to some of the things that you can't articulate or even understood that you know that you did or that you've seen in your leadership career. The second book that I would say is a must have, no matter where you're at, is The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. Now, that is a book that's all about personal growth and development and gives you a layout and a map of how to grow as a leader. And then, of course, with High Road Leadership coming out right now and the timing of it, that's got to fall right in. It's only a few months old, but that's got to become one of those ones that you get into a cycle of reading every single year. But I think if I had no other John Maxwell books and I had those three, I could create a solid individual leader or a solid individual contributor to a team with those resources in hand.
Well, on that note, again, you're just segueing right into the next thing. So, uh, I had a feeling that 15 Laws of Growth was
Yeah.
on your list. I want to speak specifically to the law of modeling.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's hard to improve when you have no one but yourself follow.
Right.
Tell me the importance as you see it on mentorship and finding one, and how do you find one or how do you become one?
Yeah, well, we'll talk about the how do you find one. I think mentorship and or coaching is the number one thing that you could have in your life today to accelerate yourself. Hands down, without a shadow of a doubt, I would not be doing what I'm doing today without mentorship in my life. Even to the tune that I do this on everything. No matter what area that I'm trying to grow, you need three things. You need knowledge, meaning that you need some type of base of information. You need experience, meaning that you have to go out and do something with that knowledge. And then you need coaching or mentoring. And, this is something that I've tried to instill in my kids, even at a very early age. None of them play sports without private coaching. I've got baseball players, track runners, I've got gymnasts. All of them have private coaches. All right. In addition to what they're learning, in addition to what they're doing, we do that. I mean, even as an avid pickleball player, the first thing that I did the week after playing pickleball for the first time, I hired a coach because immediately I knew that, hey, this is some area that I want to grow in and I want to do it. And so now, with the world that we live in, there is a coach for everything, and I mean everything. So
That
you
is
pick
true.
whatever it is that you want to grow in. Even to the tune with my kids, they play this game that many people who have kids are familiar with called Fortnite.
Yes.
Well, I'm compelled by them going, why are they so intrigued by this? And I began to play it with them one day, and I'm like, I don't get this. This doesn't make sense. And so one of my kids hits me with the book and says, "Hey, Dad, read this book." And I begin to read the book, and then in the back of the book, I find out there's Fortnite coaches. The
Um,
average Fortnite coach on the planet makes $50,000 per year. There's a coach to teach you Fortnite. And so there are two ways to get a coach or a mentor in your life. The first way is seek to serve. Seek to serve. Find someone that's doing what you would like to do or has what you have and figure out a way to serve them or add value to them. Now, again, that's contrary because you're trying to learn for them. And, you know, people like to do the old thing of, hey, you're very successful in this. I'd like to pick your brain sometime. I don't know what they're saying is, hey, I want to take from you, but I might not have any value to add to you. And that doesn't draw the mentor in. But if you can seek to serve them and add value to them, that opens up that door for proximity. How I became a speaker and how I got access to my first mentor was through service. And so I wanted to be a professional speaker. So the first thing that I did was I went to Google and I typed in motivational speaker, leadership speaker, St. Louis, because that's where I lived at the time. I looked up every professional speaker that I could find online and I picked up the phone and I began to call each one of them. The phone call looked like this. Hi, my name is Chris Robinson. I'm wanting to find out more about getting paid to speak. And if there's any opportunity that you have for me to serve at one of your events, I'd be more than happy to do so. And I called every single speaker in the St. Louis area. Not one of them called me back. Not one. Now, one of them eventually called me back about a week later and said, "Oh, Chris, that's so nice of you and for you to volunteer. I don't have anything now, but if something comes up, I'll let you know." Well, a week later, she calls back and says, "Chris, my cameraman has canceled. Would you be my cameraman for the day?" Now, here's an opportunity. Do you take it or do you not? Now, I knew nothing about working a camera or being a cameraman, but this was my opportunity to add value, to serve, and to get proximity to someone that I wanted to learn from. And so I said yes. And that day I show up early, mouth closed, ready to serve, not telling her who I wanted to be, what I wanted to do, but just there to serve to get that proximity. And so I set up the camera, I'm jerking it around left to right. I have no idea what I'm doing. But then at lunchtime, the door opened. She says, Chris, do you have any questions? Of course, I did. I had a list of 25 questions prepared. You see, I was prepared for the moment, but I didn't push for the moment. And now I had a moment of mentorship. That person became a great mentor in my life, helped me get into the speaking space. So the first way is to seek to serve. The second way is pay to play. Pay to play. That means that you are going to have to invest in yourself and pay to get into the room and around people that you want to learn and grow from. For me, becoming part of the Maxwell Leadership Certified team, that was me paying thousands of dollars to get into a room of like-minded people and get the mentorship that I needed from a John Maxwell, from the faculty inside the team. And so those are the ways to get in. It's either you're going to find someone that you can serve or you're going to pay to play to get inside the room. But it's vital for your growth.
So seek to serve. Uh,
Yeah.
so we talk a lot at working spaces about adding value. And of
Yeah.
course, Maxwell team, people of value, adding value to people. That's not just, I mean, we try to do that with our clients, right? With our
Mhm.
partners, designers, brokers, GCs. We want to go in there and we don't want to be people with our hands out,
Right. Yeah.
want to be there and adding value.
Right.
Um, so it talk to us a little bit about how we can and the importance of adding value to not only internal people but
Yeah.
all of those clients that are out there who know what it means when you say the words, hey, how can I help you?
Right. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
otherwise they mean what can you give me?
Yeah, I think that's the most important phrase as a leader, as a salesperson, as an individual, because you have two people in your life. You have people that are either adding to you or subtracting from you. And so you want to be known as a person that adds value. It's absolutely okay to go with your hands out to a vendor, to a follower, to a person that you're trying to sell, as long as you have something in it to give.
Yes,
Okay.
that's right.
And so, I always want to look for how can we add value because people are drawn to people that make things better for them. Because in life, we're either moving away from pain and towards pleasure. And if you can be the person that's always adding value, let me tell you, people will begin to pick up the phone if they know that's your motive and there's tangible evidence that that's what you do. I think about a lot of the great relationships that I have in my life, and a lot of those relationships is because I start out looking for how can I put their agenda ahead of my own? What are they trying to achieve? How can I help them achieve that? And I think of the greatest relationships I have are relationships that I went in with the mentality of I'm going to make something happen for this individual. I'm going to give them a gift. I'm going to do whatever we can, and you do that in so many different ways. Adding value can be giving resources. It could be giving a book. It could be giving a recommendation of a blog. It could be giving a recommendation of this podcast. It could be giving an actual gift, to add value to somebody's life that has no strings attached to it. But when you become a person that gives with no strings attached to it, oh man, the people that draw to you, it's off the charts.
We're going to break away for just a quick message and we'll be right back after this. At Working Spaces, we do much more than just sell furniture. We immerse ourselves in the culture of each and every client and then create spaces that inspire creativity, inspire productivity, and inspire connectivity. So if you're looking to create an office space that inspires your employees to want to come back to the office, collaborate face to face, and do their best work every day, contact Working Spaces. Working Spaces, the innovative leader in office furniture and design since 1999. Now in 6 markets nationwide. Welcome back to Culture at Work. What you said about Zig Ziglar,
Yeah,
give people what they want and they will give you what you want.
right.
It's amazing how people will line up.
Yeah,
You're out there showing value, they wanna be a part of that.
yeah, yeah,
They
absolutely.
know that they get something out of the interaction they have with you.
Yeah,
People will move heaven and earth to speak
yeah,
to you, right? And to be
absolutely.
around you, right?
Yeah,
So we'll move on to a related topic here, but on the idea of personal growth
yeah.
and how important is that to an individual's true success?
I mean, that's everything. I think a lot of people believe that if you ask the average individual, well, how long have you been in an industry? How long have you been in an industry? And they'll tell you, well, I've got 10 years experience, or I've got 5 years experience, 15 years experience. In all actuality, they probably got 1 year experience repeated 5 times, 10 times, 15 times because they came to this place of complacency. Now, this is where personal growth kicks in because complacency is not a place of laziness. Okay. Complacency is not laziness whatsoever. Complacency is a secret place of seemingly success. It's a secret place of seeming success. Now, if you think about that, and I mean, I'm guilty as this just as anyone, is the fact that we do some things over and over again to where we get good enough to not think about it. And deep down inside, we know that we can be better, but because we're good and the average person can't do it, we fall into complacency. And there's this secret place inside of us that's satisfied. It's a secret place of satisfactory success. I mean, think about that. And so I do have a book coming out
All right.
in July of next year called Overcoming Complacency is the working title, how to turn what you know into what you do. But that secret place of success is truly what personal growth helps you overcome. And so if you can find yourself working and developing, ask yourself, when's the last time you did something for the first time to get better in your current role? When's the last time you did something for the first time to get better in your current role is the question that can keep you on your toes to make sure that you don't fall into that secret place of seeming success.
John Maxwell says best is the enemy of better.
Yeah, indeed.
And that phrase has served me well.
Yeah,
'Cause I always believe there's better, right? There's always better. And so why are we just sitting there and here's the other thing. If you're not growing, you're just preparing to die, right?
right.
You
Yeah.
gotta you gotta be growing and getting better no matter where you are, or just tap out, man. Just go and retire and be happy. That's
Easy.
great.
But Tim, that's the easy thing to say. But I'm telling you, that secret place of satisfactory success is so comforting and
Yeah.
so easy that it's really hard to say, for an individual, well, I'm not, nobody really self goes, I'm not growing or I'm not getting better because there's this secret. It's the secret. It's not something that you're going to outwardly say, Tim, I'm complacent. It's the secret place of satisfactory success that makes personal growth so difficult. But once we recognize that and we come face to face with it, that's when we may get that joke. But it's easy to say, well, if you're not growing, you're not going. I mean, it's easy to say that. But if we
So
recognize it, we do
there
something
are
about
people
it.
on listening to this right now
Yeah.
that are currently in that secret place.
Yeah.
It's so secret, they don't even know it sometimes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
How do they jump out of that and get back in the game of learning?
Yeah, well, you gotta ask yourself, some questions. You really gotta ask and I think the easiest place to find that secret place of satisfactory success is looking at the places that are average and automatic in your life. If you look at the places that are average and automatic in your life, chances are there's a secret place of satisfactory success right there. And I'm gonna just be honest and transparent here. As I was writing this book and starting the concept for this, it was really based out of a place of complacency myself. I was sitting in Cambodia with John Maxwell after I had just came off stage with about 1,500 people in the audience. And I was speaking in Cambodia. Language was Khmer, and I was speaking with the translator. It was stop and go translation. And at last minute they changed my slides, and they had to put their language on top of the U.S. language because of their government laws, and the slide deck looked a mess. I mean, and the stop and go wasn't great, but at the end of it, there's a line of people that lined up, and you know came and told me how great the talk was, and it was good. And then that night at dinner, I sit down with John Maxwell. I've got out my notepad and pen. I say, John, you saw me speak today. Could you give me some feedback? And John begins to give me one thing, two, three, four, five, six, seven. I've got a whole page of notes here, and I'm just going, "Oh my goodness, I suck." Now he didn't tell me anything that I didn't know or didn't identify as, "Oh, I could have did this," and I had some justification for some of those things. But what I realized in that moment was that I had become complacent. It was a secret place of satisfactory. Like, my good was good enough to get past the average ear, but now I was getting feedback from one of the top communicators in the world, the 1% of the 1%, and he could see straight through the things that the average ear couldn't hear. And
Right.
so he gave me that feedback, but that jolted me into, wait a minute. When was the last time I really prepared for a talk like I did in my early days? And that jolted me into a new place of growth because of that feedback. And so, for my last presentation that I did back in at our Orlando event, I put 60 hours into a 30-minute talk. I would put 60 hours into it. I mean, you could put me in front of any audience anywhere on the planet and say, "Hey, Chris, this is the topic was inside of personal growth and leadership, and I can give you a 35, 40-minute talk that's going to be compelling to the crowd." But I hadn't been putting in the work like I did, and that got me back into the gym. That got me back working out, working on content communication, relooking at my foundation because of that outside feedback. But what is that? That's coaching, that's mentoring, that says, hey, it's recognizing that I am average in a place. Okay, there was a secret place of satisfaction, but I opened myself up for that mentoring to say, wait a minute, I can do better. It's good, but it could be great.
So the thing that kind of blows my mind here in hearing this, you are a person of growth. I mean, if there is a person, that is you.
Right.
So you can be that and have places in your life,
Yeah,
have that secret complacency.
yeah.
And I think maybe I'm alone in this, but until this moment, you kind of think I'm a person of growth.
Growth, yeah,
I'm always growing,
yes,
but
there
there
was
are
not
places
one
to go
person.
find where you're
Yeah,
complacent in your life.
Tim, there's probably no one around me that you could come to and go, "Hey, is Chris a complacent person?" You would be hard pressed to
Right,
find anyone around me to say, "Yeah, that Chris is complacent,"
right.
right? You wouldn't find that. But look, inside the recesses of us all, where
Yeah.
we have success, where we have automatic thinking, where we have results, there's a secret place of satisfactory success called complacency that we can dig into and grow.
Wow. I mean, that is a great place to probably put a period on this because I got some work to do. I think
Right.
there's other people that are listening that now know they got some work to do. That is fantastic stuff.
Uh,
Chris, thank you so much
yeah.
for just taking a brief amount of time with us. Hey, we're excited at Working Spaces. You're coming
Yeah.
to be
Oh,
our keynote speaker for our
yes.
kickoff in February.
Oh, I
So
can't wait.
excited for that, to have you back home in St. Louis.
Yes, in St. Louis. I can't wait.
Yeah, we're gonna have a good time. But thank you
Indeed.
so much, and look forward to more conversations in the future. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot. Thank you.